Have you found any centre halves down the back of the sofa or anything in the last couple of days?
No. Hopefully we'll have a couple back the weekend. Waiting on news on a couple of them. I don't know the players. The injured players, I know they're desperate to get back playing. So I know when they are ready they will play. So that's it's good to have them type of characters in the. I shouldn't really say in the building, should I? Because it's a terrible cliche. In the squad, and you saw how much it meant to them even just getting a point. So hopefully we can go one step further and get a win.
You had the two youngsters. Obviously Pickle started and O'Brien came off the subs bench the other night. How much faith and how much trust do you have to put in these young players, and how ready are they for that, to have that faith put in them to go out there and play for the first team at such a young age?
I spoke to Pickles before, and I'm not comfortable calling him by just his surname. It's like we're in boarding school, isn't it? So I spoke to Aaron before and asked him, is he nervous? He said a little bit, yeah, and it's understandable. I said, well, you wouldn't be human if you weren't nervous, but he really enjoyed it. You know, and he'll learn from it. He'll come on from that brilliantly. And young Connor the same. So, you know, young Connor, bit different because he's been exposed to a little bit more men's football, going to Ratcliffe, and I know they've been delighted with him. Bobby describes him as their best player. So maybe some of their players that are already there might like that, but and he's a great kid. So I know that if you ask him to do a job, he'll do it.
I know it's quite difficult to take sort of positives from having so many players missing, but to have those two potentially breaking through, Dan Martin a regular starter, Adekoya coming off the substitutes bench scoring in the cup, Toby Savin's played regularly in goal, players that the club has produced. Does that bode well for the future? Is that something that you're really encouraged by, that you've got those options in the ranks of young players?
I think so. And having the bridge between the youth team and the first team with the 23s, I think has helped to make the transition to go straight into the first team. The 23s had a good win yesterday against Huddersfield, and quite a few of the lads got a decent run out, so that's good for them. That'll keep them on the toes. And we've got 3 really, 2.5 tough months ahead of us. And as I said the other day, been involved in an industry that there'd be a queue till enter the 65 for your job. You know, the amount of kids who dream about being a footballer and don't make it, and I'll class myself as that, one of them. So I know how much I wanted it and I didn't get it. And so we're blessed to be involved in professional football, and we should embrace it with the joy it brings.
Could you potentially unearth a first team player from these ranks of young players a bit quicker than expected just because of the circumstances?
I think so. I think we've got lads there who are, I've always maintained if they're good enough, they're old enough, and we've got some good young lads coming through the ranks, and you know, the Duncan and Scott, Miles, who's unfortunately just left, should take a lot of credit for that, as should the people who work in the lower age groups for feeding them through, and Ashley Hoskins, who does a sterling job at the recruitment of the youngsters. So it's not just you stumble on a player. There's been a lot of hard work by various people goes in to trying to develop a player at this club for the first team, and that shouldn't be underestimated, and that staff shouldn't be underestimated either.
In the situation you're in a relegation battle, can that help in some ways, that some of these players have been here since they were 7, 8, 9 years old and have been coming to the games, ball boys, all that sort of stuff? They'll really understand it, I suppose.
You hope so. You know, you never want to be in a relegation battle, and you're looking for every advantage that you can get, or to get every last drop out of the players. I know when the youngsters come in, then they never get done for want of trying, that's for sure. And we've just got to make sure that we can find a balance where we can start attacking more, because we can't just go and try to fend for the last 19 games. and hold our breath. We've got to go and try and dictate the play, try and force results for ourselves, for our own peace of mind.
After Cheltenham this weekend, who were just above the relegation places, how significant would it be if you could go there and add 3 points to your own tally, but also potentially keep them and a couple of other clubs involved?
It'd be great, but you know, I'm sure they're thinking the same. They're thinking that they can put daylight between us and them. And you know, they've had some good results this season, and it's going to be a really tough game, and we know that. But we expect every game we play to be tough. So you maybe just want to put this on loop, this interview, and play it every Thursday, because I'm going to be saying the same things. I hope I'm not saying the same things about the injuries.
Neither team scored a lot of goals in the league this season. Does that suggest that it'll be tight?
8-8.
Well, it could be 8-8. But with the pressure going into it and what's at stake, but also the fact that neither team has scored a lot of goals, does that make it even more important, those fine margins, a 1-0 or whatever?
It's so important at both ends. Like, you know, and it has been a worry that we haven't scored anywhere near like we should have done. The worry's been in the last couple of games, the drop off in the expected goals. And we've got to get back to making more chances, getting more people in the box, having more shots. You know, we're playing against the likes of Derby and having 18 shots, and then we're not backing that up against other teams. And we've got to get back to being a more of an attacking threat, and we've got the players who can do that. I know we have. And hopefully when some of the newer lads bed in more, they'll appreciate it more.
What do you think's behind that? Is it a creativity thing? Is it about individuals making the right decision?
There's loads of facets that go for that. I think one of the big things at the moment is nerves. And we're taking our time too long. We're second guessing ourselves. And we've got to play a little bit more. With a little bit more freedom and play a little bit more off the cuff. And relax a little bit more.
There's probably nobody better than you and Jimmy, of course, who's been with you all this time, experience-wise, in the Football League and in football. How do you take that pressure off players? How do you give them freedom and allow them to express themselves?
It's the way you interact with them every day, to be honest. And you know, if it becomes like a military camp, which some managers advocate, I'm not knocking them, because people have success doing that. I think that you've got to get a blend of treating players in the right way. You've got to make it enjoyable for them to come in without it being a circus or a holiday camp. And the players, I know the players respond best when they work hard and they see the fruits of their labour. Now, that was a classic case on Tuesday. We got the point by working our socks off. Or our backsides, as Lucas put in his interview.
Is that essential that you add to that's the sort of base to build from now?
It's got to be. And the players know, you might think all players are thick, they're not. They can act it at times, but they know when they've let themselves and the fans down. They don't need people to constantly remind them of it. And it makes you laugh because, you know, our fans are football fans and they want success, and they don't. Your status in the league is irrelevant to them. They just want their team to be successful, and I get that as a football fan. And you get bombarded with comments like, we should have took a centre half off on Saturday when we didn't have one on the bench to put on. So and things like that, I think you just wish they were a bit more patient. You know, I suffered a barrage of abuse coming off the pitch on Tuesday for having the temerity to get a point with 10 men at Port Vale. And I'd like to think our stewards are quite good. They've got a good reputation amongst the away fans. But when I look at grown men spouting bile and screaming at me, and two stewards standing alongside them doing nothing about it, it beggars belief. And I think you can be dehumanised sometimes. People don't see it as a person, they just see it as a football manager and sort of a robot, and someone to be either idolised or hated, with no possible middle ground. And you know, I think I like to be honest after games. I don't try and sugarcoat it if we've been poor. There's been times when we've lost and we haven't deserved to lose. There's been plenty of times when we've lost and we have deserved to lose. And you've got to say it as it is, because the fans aren't stupid, really. You know, we're lucky in that we've got a hardcore of fans who realise the situation we're in, realise the reasons for the situation we're in, and try and help us by supporting us. And you know, our travelling fans the other day were magnificent. And I'm glad the players went over and showed their appreciation before and after the game. And you know, they deserve that, because in the times of financial crisis that we're in, they're giving up their hard-earned money, they're giving up the time to try and edge us towards safety. And so you've got to try and give them a bit back.
Is that all the reminder that the players need, if they ever need a reminder that those fans are making that commitment?
Yeah, I think so. And you know, whatever motivates you, you know, you should play for yourself first, for your own personal pride, then you should play for your teammates, then you should play for the fans, then you should play for the club who are paying you. But there's certain people like you owe it to, and fans are definitely up there. So, you know, and it's not like we've got a set of fans who will jump on the players' back, who will be negative with their response to us losing. You know, they always stay behind us. And you know, when we lost to Barnsley, we actually were 3 down after 20 minutes, and you're thinking, you know, it's really bad, and they've clapped us off at the end. And I know that they're going to stay with us, and so the least we can do is give every single drop that we've got in our bodies to try and get them what I think they deserve, which is League One football next season.